Hello and welcome into Football.Fun with Laird. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Football.Fun, if you can even look at it right now. I'm not sure yet. Here today to guess who the top 100 players are in the game. And the reason we're doing that is because Football.Fun Pro is launching next week, I think, or the week after, soon. I don't have the exact date, but we do know, thanks to a discussion that I had with Adam over at FDF, that they're going to start with 100 players and they're going to go to 200, but we should guess who the top 100 are. And this was an exercise that I actually did I think it was last week, because they were like, hey, we'd love to hear who you think should definitely make the cut. And I was like, oh, I'll try that. It was harder than I thought, to be honest. And the funny thing about choosing the top 100, and I kind of went into this with Adam I think it was last week when we talked. And the funny thing about the game, when you only have 100 players or 200 players, is that generally everybody's good. And when he was explaining how the packs were going to work, and he was saying, you'll probably get a few people some of the worst players. And it was like, how bad could the worst players be if they're in the top 100 in the world? And I started to go through it last week when I kind of gave them my thoughts on who the top 100 were. And to be honest, I didn't submit a list of all 100 because I just wasn't sure kind of like what direction they wanted to take. And I still don't know. I will say that the Football.Fun is sponsoring this show, and they're kind of supporting a lot of the content that I do. And so with that, I still don't know anything. And meaning, like, they don't give me any inside information or anything. Obviously, there's nothing in this show that will constitute financial advice now or in the future. But, I will have either Adam or other people on from Football.Fun to kind of like share things on this channel. But between all of that and kind of the way that we work together, I don't have the list. And so I don't even know how they're going to break it down. And we kind of talked about how the idea was to have an even number of players in terms of positions, because, following kind of regular fantasy football, not even fantasy football kind of positions, we know they're going to have goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and forwards. But, for the first 100, I think they're going to try to keep them fairly even. But in my discussions with Adam about how much I kind of dislike playing goalkeepers in any fantasy football game, he kind of made this little like hint almost that if there were fewer goalkeepers for the fantasy game where you need to be in the top 5 of your position, like maybe they would only do top 3. And they actually did do that during the Club World Cup when there just weren't as many teams going. And that's when I was like, all right, so if we were going to do a top 100 list and there are 4 positions, you would think, yeah, 25 per position. But I don't think anybody really wants 25 goalkeepers. And I feel bad kind of besmirching the position that is very important, but also not really that exciting when it comes to fantasy football. And maybe one day Football.Fun will figure out a way to make goalkeepers exciting, but I'm not there yet. And so as I was going through the kind of thinking about who are the top 100 players in the world, I think we could all agree that there aren't going to be 25 goalkeepers unless you had to have them. And that's when I was like, all right, but the other problem is that you can't have so few goalkeepers that they all just win. You can't have 5 goalkeepers in the game, and then it's like, all right, all 5 win in the fantasy competitions every week, or the tournaments every week. Do you have, or, if you had 5 and only 3 win, like, it's not enough. And I was trying to figure out like what the number was in order to, for goalkeepers, because I almost feel like that helps then determine how many players at the other positions you get. And I think for the purpose of this exercise, we're going to go with 30 outfield players each, meaning 30 forwards, 30 midfielders, 30 defenders, and 10 goalkeepers. And I would even argue that we might not even get to 10 that we really love. But we'll see. Thanks everyone for coming in. Pico player, Mikey Basson, of course. Oh, that's me. $1 refund for every 5 minutes late. That's a good idea. Glenn said, looking forward to getting it going. I enjoyed the beta for the Club World Cup. It was a lot of fun. And Glenn, even the one previously for like the Champions League was really fun too. What was funny about the Club World Cup is that because they did it for every team that was in there, we just didn't have it didn't feel like we had just the top players in the world, because we didn't. When you're trying to figure out, 8 players from the Sundowns, or I'm like blanking on what was it, Auckland City or whatever. No offense to them, but that doesn't feel like the premium player base that we're all looking for, even though it was still super fun. And based on how the tournament went, we still ended up with the players at the end were the ones that everybody wanted. We had Cole Palmer as the highest scoring player for the Club World Cup final. Obviously PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Like we had the big teams late. So that felt like Football.Fun, or how it's supposed to be. Mike said 15 goalkeepers, 25 defenders, 30 mid, 30 forwards. So I will say that Adam did say that it wasn't necessarily going to be even across the positions, but I do feel like because you have to get to the top 5, at least for the tournament points. And once the pro game launches, I'm sure we'll go into a lot more of like how those things would work. But they did want to make sure that there were enough players at each position so that you weren't just necessarily getting easy points, tournament points, but also enough where if they're not in the top 5, you still get enough skill points for it. So anyway, so while I think 25 defenders, 30 midfielders, and 30 forwards is like reasonable, I don't think that they're going to be that drastic with it. I think he kind of made it sound like if we did the equivalent to 30, 30, 30, 10, excuse me, maybe it's like 31 forwards and 29 defenders, but we weren't going to go so drastic. Because like if you only have to be in the top 5, then 25 defenders, it's just not that many. So I don't know what they're going to do, and it sounds like they're going to add the next 100 fairly quickly. I think Adam kind of indicated it was going to be 100 at launch, and then the next 100 within, like by the end of August. So for the majority of the season, we will have 200 players. I'm not going to guess the second 200 today because I don't even know who the first 100 are, but I do think we should go through and just try to figure out who the top ones are for the launch. And I think the way that I basically did it for the initial run was who are the players that I think like absolutely make it, and like regardless of position. And I know that there are some kind of like funky things with, where guys end up being positionally. Like, I don't think that they're going to follow the like the FPL model of like wingers always being midfielder, like Salah's a midfielder. Like I think he would be a forward. And so the way that I was going to kind of go through it is basically we'll decide what the positions are. We won't actually decide, but for like the purposes of this exercise. So I was going to go positionally if we want. And if anybody in the chat kind of like wants to just throw out players that like we know we want. The one that kind of jumped out at me right away, which I think jumps out at a lot of people, is Yamal. Like I think there's a decent chance, just because a lot of it I think is because of how young he is, that when you have a game like Football.Fun where you're basically buying shares of players, the longevity of Yamal just puts him in a class by himself. And so I had him first. And just shout out to Spreadsheet Content. This is the easiest way for me to kind of track our list. That doesn't mean this is the best way to do it. And I know that Football.Fun is going to have this like really cool reveal for all the packs and everything. I haven't seen it yet, but the people that I've spoken to who have are very excited about it. And so basically I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I was going to look at like the Sofa Score, like highest rated players, or FOTMob. I consider doing it, like just going to the SoRare scouting page and stealing players from that, because ultimately the way that Football.Fun works in terms of the fantasy game, it is a more well-rounded scoring matrix. And so one of the things that Adam had mentioned previously was just, if you're watching a game and a player looks like they're having a really good game, they should score well in Football.Fun. And so SoRare has, it's not it's not exactly the same matrix, but it's a similar matrix. And so that's why I thought maybe that's a way to do it. But then I literally just pulled up like the ESPN, what do they call it? FC 100. And it's basically like the top, who they consider the top 100 players for 2025. And I was like, all right, we can always like obviously disagree with some of them, because I think that there is also a part of it where the popularity of players is important too. Like there could be a player who, maybe is not considered, although top 100 is probably short enough where we don't run into that problem, but top 200 might be, of just players that like maybe they're not going to be that great, but or I hate to say they're not great. Maybe they're the 105th best player in the world right now, but because there is an interest in them, people are going to want to go off. And like the one that pops up to me, who is a player, maybe he's a little more popular in like the deeper scouting player or circles, but like those people who come from SoRare are very familiar with someone like Ryan Cherky, who now has a much bigger platform in terms of popularity because he's at Manchester City, but who knows if he's even going to play there. And so not that I'm saying he's, a top 30 forward in the world, but players like that we have to consider of, do people want to own shares of these players? And if the answer is yes, then surely they should be on a list like this. And if the answer is no, then like maybe they're in the top 200 or maybe they just don't even get there. But it's one of those kind of fun exercises when it comes to this and to Football.Fun, that the idea is that we are playing a game with the best footballers in the world, at least in the top 5 leagues, where we think all of the best football players are. And so that's the way we do it. And so I was going to do it league by league, because the other thing about Football.Fun is the players have to be playing in one of the top 5 European leagues. So that's the Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A, and Ligue 1. Now, I don't think there is any requirement to have an equal number of players from each league. I think we could all kind of agree that there are probably more than 20 players in the Prem that we would put in this list, and probably not 20 from Ligue 1. No disrespect to them, but it's the reality of it. And frankly, if you have 20 players from Ligue 1, you could probably pick 11 from PSG. And I don't think that there are any team requirements, meaning I don't think that there's any reason that, we have to have 2 per Premier League team. Like there could be 5 from Manchester City that you think deserve to be in the top 100 or 200, and 0 from, I don't even want to offend a fan base, so I'm not even going to make the example, but so we don't need to necessarily have a certain number of players from each team. It's really, the idea is, here is a huge group of players, meaning every player that plays in a top 5 European league. Let's get the top 100. Let's get the top 30 forwards, 30 mids, 30 defenders, and 10 goalkeepers. Now, I do think we need to have some representative from every league. And so that's where we kind of, I don't want to go through this list and all of a sudden we're 100 players deep and we have nobody from Serie A, for example. That seems unlikely. But I don't think we necessarily need to be level on it. And so as I was going through kind of my initial thought, because I think we all can sit down and be like, all right, who do you consider as the top 100 players in the world? And that doesn't necessarily, like, once you start getting going, it's not that easy to, it's not that easy to go through all 100 right away. And I think that's kind of the tricky thing about it, because at some point you're just like, all right, well, how about this guy? And then you put them on the list, and the more people you come up with, it's like, oh, all right, he moves down. And you do that enough to the point where you don't even want to add anybody, because you're like, man, I don't know if he gets on it or not. But anyway, so in my head, I basically did it by team, and I was going through kind of the top teams in each league. And so it was like, all right, if Yamal came to mind first, we'll go to Barcelona. So like, how many players from Barcelona theoretically could be on a top 100 list? And so this is what I kind of expected to go through with this, like here. So we have Yamal. Let me try to make this a little bigger. Can I still? Oh, I can. Great. So Yamal, Pedri, and then, sorry, Mike, you're right. I keep saying the top 5 players in the world. You're right, because we will not have Messi. We did have Messi for the Club World Cup, but we will not have Messi for this one, or Ronaldo, because if that's if anybody still thinks he's in that list. So Yamal and Rafinha. So when I had Yamal, Rafinha came right to mind, Pedri came right to mind, and then once we get to anyone else, like, I think that you can make an argument. Like, obviously Barcelona have many elite players in the team, but like, does Robert Lewandowski make a top 30 forward list in the world? Maybe he does. I don't think so. But I say that, and there's 2 guys on my list, so who knows where we go. So this is where I was like, should we just cheat with this ESPN list? But I figured we'd at least keep going. And then, given that we have, I started with Barcelona, so it's like, all right, we'll go to Real Madrid. And then obviously Mbappe has to be on the list. Vinny Jr. probably goes on the list. I think no matter what you think about Vinny, like, he probably is on a list here, but I'm also perfectly fine not including him by the end. And then we have Jude. And then you have somebody like Federico Valverde. And I think you could even kind of make the argument, like, what do you do with Jude? And I was trying to put myself in the position of the people having to decide this list of a top 100 players to start a game. And you have a player like Jude Bellingham who's not going to play for months. And so do you need to put Jude on the list for the top 100, knowing that you have another 100 coming later? And kind of I think Jude will be very, very, very popular. Like, he's obviously one of the best players in the world. But if you can't use him in the tournaments for months, how popular could he be? And I think the answer is kind of like, he's one of those players that, he's still going to be popular, but it's difficult to use him, because what do you do? What do you do? And so I'll probably take him. I mean, we can leave him on the list for now, but it doesn't feel like he ends up making the final list, if that makes sense. So anyway, the popular one, I think, right now is Florian Wirtz, who obviously is getting a lot of hype now that he's at Liverpool. Actually, let's not do that. Let's not do that yet. I am going to put Valverde on the list. And I think he's just going to be the one who becomes very popular with Jude out. One of my favorites, and I struggle to see him make the list right away, but I went like heavy on Arda Güler during the Club World Cup, and that ended up working really well. And he's one of those that, if he starts regularly for Real Madrid, like, surely he should be somewhere in this game. And maybe he takes Jude's spot, meaning his Football.Fun spot, early. And so I'm going to put him in here. Maybe we just keep pushing him down as as it keeps going. Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think, makes the list because he just does. I think regardless of how you think he'll do this year, I think he makes, at least to start, makes a list. And again, as we push players down, as we add more players, maybe he gets pushed down. Now, the nice thing is that we don't have to rank them 1 to 100. We just need 100. And so I feel like you probably have Trent somewhere. And then it's like, well, how far do you go with the Real Madrid defenders? Like, do you have Alvaro Carreras, who's like new there now? Dean, how do you say his name? Huijsen. I'm probably not going much farther than that, but we'll see. And then obviously Thibaut Courtois can't not be on the list. But let's put at least one of them. There we go. And I don't know. I haven't looked to see like if Rudiger or if he's even still there. But and then the other guys, like I'm a big Tchouaméni guy, but I don't know if he realistically ends up in the top 100 players in the world. Maybe he does 200, but it just feels like a little bit of a stretch to me. That I'm not even going to include him right now. But, if we get to a point where like, oh, we need more, then obviously we can, it's not a big deal here. So yeah, it's those three. The Barcelona goalkeeper situation, I don't really have like an opinion. I know Ter Stegen, I don't know if he's still hurt, but you would think that the Barcelona goalkeeper would be on the list, but I don't even know if he's staying. And so Glenn is saying Koundé for Barcelona. Yeah. Nailed starter for club and country is funny because he's just like always hurt. Like, is he really that nailed? I mean, let's put him on and we'll just see where we go from here. Come on. There we go. And then honestly, for the rest of La Liga, I mean, I guess even Atletico Madrid, like they have some good players that aren't overly, I don't even want to say like famous, because like Antoine Griezmann is obviously like, we know he's a star. He's also like not that great anymore. And so do you put someone like Griezmann on the list knowing he's probably not playing all the time? And the fact that Atletico Madrid tend not to produce, like from a fantasy perspective, a long list of great scoring players, right? So do you put Julian Alvarez on the list? Do you put Alex Baena on the list because he's new to the team, but like there are expectations for him. Who did they just get? Thiago Almada. Like Almada probably doesn't get in the top. I'm going to put Alvarez, but partially it's just because I really like Alvarez, and that's probably not fair. And I'll even put Griezmann in just so we can take him off later. Defender wise, they're all just kind of boring. I don't know. That's the way I look at it. Oblak maybe. And then literally in terms of like the rest of La Liga, it's one of those, do we, how far do you go in terms of the other players? I'm trying to think of, let's see. Sorry, I'm looking up Nico Williams, who I feel like is one of those that everybody thinks he's a great talent, and sometimes he does like really amazing things. It almost feels like more for Spain than for Bilbao or in Bilbao, but he's there. I don't know. I don't think you go much farther than that, to be honest, in La Liga, which how many players is this total? 2, 5, 8, 15. I mean, that seems like a decent amount because we know we're going to have a lot from the Prem, but not necessarily like that many. All right. I guess we could use, I'm sorry, I'm like looking at transfer market here. I thought I had that on the screen. Just in terms of like the best players. I guess, yeah, Hanko could be good, but this is kind of the second level of guys. Conor Gallagher. All right, Glenn's on Team Alvarez, so I'll take that. TLDR is going to be Prem centric. It might be. Baena and Zubamendi in the conversation. Yeah, like maybe the top 200 conversation, but I don't think they deserve to be in the top 100. Like Frankie De Jong, like really, this is like sorted by market value, which is hilarious to see Marcus Rashford there at 50 million. Rodrigo, I think if we knew he was going to start, would definitely be there, but it doesn't seem like it. I guess Kubarsi could be there. I just don't know how many people are like going after Kubarsi. And Balde, like I feel like Balde makes the list if Koundé gets hurt. But that's what it is. So let's see. I wanted to get out of La Liga. Here we go. Sorry. Let me just take that off so you don't need to like watch me search the internet. All right, let's see. I'm going to do the Prem last because it's just, we know that that's going to be a long list of players. And so we'll do Serie A next because I think we'll probably blast through that as well. Just looking at, I mean, just knowing it, they're just not overly exciting as we saw during the Club World Cup. So Lautaro Martinez, I think is like, he makes sense. Who else we got here? Glenn, it's so funny. So Glenn goes, never thought I'd be saying Scott McTominay has to be on this list. So as Mikey Basson also says, McTom, when I put the list together, when I like submitted my ideas for them, I got to McTominay and I was like, he was the best player in the league last year. But like, I think it said more about Serie A than it did about Football.Fun or Scott McTominay. But you guys are right. Like, he deserves to be here based on, and you can see that we haven't gone deep in the list though, but just to see the list of Pedri, Federico Valverde, Arda Güler, and Scott McTominay. And I'm just like, man, what happened? What happened to Serie A? And obviously Inter have the most like exciting players, I would say, in terms of like what we're looking for. You know, I assume the idea for the guys at Football.Fun is, you know, we want people to be able to play with the most exciting players in the world. And so when something happens in a big game or a big team is playing and they score a goal and you're like, oh man, I really want to like buy some shares on Football.Fun, and you go and they're not there. How far can that take you? Andy Mack. So the two guys that I wanted to discuss at some point, which you just brought up, Kevin De Bruyne, who's now at Napoli, and the other one is Luka Modric, who's at AC Milan. I don't know if Modric makes the list, mostly because I'm just not sure like how much he'll play. But it does seem like the kind of player that you would want, like if he plays and he just becomes a magician. But anyway, I'll put Bastoni and is Summer still the goalie for Inter? And then I was going to put Barella. It just feels like I'm adding guys here that inevitably we're going to take off. Right? Rafa Leao. Is he staying? Is he actually like still staying there? Let's see. Lookman. Didn't Lookman just go somewhere? thought he left Atalanta. There's McTominay. I really thought Lookman left. But let's put him on. And as much as you guys don't necessarily agree with me, since I'm obviously American and Pulisic's, I'm going to put Pulisic on the list. I don't think he will finish on the list, but I think it was Adam made the point once where like he's popular. People like the idea of Pulisic, and I mean he was a very good player last year, so it's not like we're putting nobody on the list, but I'm going to put him on there. All right, so let's see, where was I keep losing my headset. So Alessandro Buongiorno, for like Napoli have a number of good defenders. There's Buongiorno, Rachmani, Matheus Oliveira. Those are probably the three that anybody would theoretically be interested in. Moise Kean actually had a really good season for Fiorentina last year. I wonder if I think he was like second or third in goals last year. Let's put him on so we can take him off later. But I never thought I would ever include somebody like that on the list. God, does Vlahovic make the list? Vlahovic feels like somebody who makes the list if you need like certain number of players from each league or position. But let's see. Dumfries probably makes it. And he's an interesting one in terms of like whether he would qualify as a midfielder or defender, but I think he probably is a defender. There's Ravella. There was somebody I thought popped up here. David Neres. Where? Oh, Çalhanoğlu. Yeah, he should be on there if he stays. So that's another one. Is like we don't really want guys. I think Çalhanoğlu was linked to, was it Fener? It was one of the big Turkish clubs. Mike says Berardi. Yeah, now that they're back. Does Berardi really make a top 100 list though? Lukaku? Does Lukaku make the list? Man, Lukaku making the list would be something. Mike Mignon, obviously for goalkeepers, yeah, he should make it. And when I was cheating ahead, I noticed this. Oh, Unai Simon, yeah, we missed him as a. See, that's like I stopped thinking about goalkeepers, and so I'm just like, yeah, whatever. There's Summer, who we have. Raya, we haven't gotten to the Prem yet, but if we want to get goalies out of the way here, we can do that here. There's Oblak. Emi Martinez is a good one. Although they just signed somebody, didn't they? I don't think he's Donnarumma. We didn't get to Liga yet, but John Luigi. Who knows if he remains. There's Allison and Courtois, who we have. All right. So we have 9 goalies already. I'm not sure how many more. Matt Sells was the one that was on this list. I don't know. Maybe we'll come up with somebody else. Retegui, 25 goals, but he's gone to Saudi. Yeah. Glenn said Lukaku had 14 goals and 10 assists in a league-winning team. Not his biggest fan, but he had a good season. And I feel like Lukaku is one of those guys that when he finally has his big game, everyone's like, oh, let me go get some Lukaku shares. And then if he's not there, it's kind of weird. Andy Mack says Pickford. Good call. I think Ederson makes the list if we knew he was staying. Not that there's been like confirmed talks that he's leaving, but we'll see. And Mike, I see your comment in the chat, and I'm not going to put it up on the screen. Top players in Ligue 1. Let's see what. I think we're going to add a lot here, and they're all going to be from PSG. I love Kavicha, and so I'm going to put him on, but I also have no idea how to spell his name. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. And for some reason, left winger keeps wanting to paste as well. It's hard enough to say Kavicha Kvaratskhelia, and so making me like type it out. Dembele, Doué, Vitinha, João Neves, Hakimi, Nuno Mensch, Marquinhos. Does Pacho make the list? Maybe. Who did we? Barcola. Oh, this is so funny. Literally, the top 10. Let's see, 12. Oh my God. So it's Greenwood and I never know how to pronounce this guy's name. Akilush are the only ones not from PSG. I'm kind of stubborn and I wanted to keep Greenwood off the list, even though Glenn said chuck the entire PSG team in and move on. Mike said, I think anyone with transfer links isn't in the top 100 will be in the second 100 once club is known in Euro through the window closes. Yeah. It is tough. It is tough. Now, again, we're not making a list of the top, 25 players in each league. We don't like Zaire Emery and Gonçalves, whatever is Ramos. Like they are not in the top 100. Yes, they're in the top 15 of Ligue 1, but come on. Like they're not going to make this list. And so I was more like, do you put Pacho over Marquinhos? Or like I don't think Barcola makes it over these guys. I don't think. If he started every game, sure. But the reason that somebody like Barcola doesn't make the list is because of the three guys ahead of him on the list, if that makes sense. But anyway, let's see who else is here. Oh yeah, Fabian Ruiz. Is he on the list of the top midfielders in the world? Theoretically, does he make the top 30? I don't know if he does. There's Kolo Muani. Chevalier, who I saw was linked to PSG, actually. Oh, sorry. Like if Chevalier goes to PSG, Donnarumma probably leaves. And I don't know if, it obviously depends where they go, where Donnarumma goes, but Chevalier probably makes the list if he goes there. Does he make the list when he's at Lille? I don't know. Like we're already above 10, but we'll see. And then I don't think genuinely anyone else makes the list. Let's see. Does anybody? Kang Lee doesn't play enough. Lucas Hernandez, didn't he leave or was it his brother who left? Rabiot, the one that isn't here that I think could possibly make the list. And the more I scroll, the more I'm like, maybe he doesn't, is right. Yeah. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who he's one of these players that is always better in fantasy game, like deep fantasy games, like Football.Fun. He's better than anybody gives him credit for. So it's almost like he deserves to be on the list of top 100 players in the game, but I'm not sure he's one of the top 100 players in the world, if that makes sense. Mike, Paul Pogba. Oh, that would be fun. I can't fathom Pogba makes the top 100, but not financial advice. I would buy Pogba shares just because I'm a Pogba guy. And like Restis is like one of the best young goalkeepers in France and probably the world. Like, does he make the list? Probably not the top 100. If we're only going like 10 deep, if we did go 25 deep, yeah, he probably does. But I think we would rather have more outfield players than not. But maybe not. Top players in the Bundesliga. Let's go that. And the interesting one here is like how many Bayern players is it? But really, how many non-Bayern players is it? And Musiala at the top of the list here has the same problem as as Jude that he's injured, and so does he need to be at the top? Sorry, I feel like my video is getting choppy, and it's probably because of all the ads on Transfer Market. But so I'm going to keep Musiala off the list. I am going to put Olise on the list, and I'm not sure. I can't remember if Olise was a forward for the Club World Cup. I wonder if. I don't think it's. Oh, you know where it could be? Hold on. Can we go previous tournaments? No. I thought we could go back. For anybody who played the Club World Cup, do you remember if Olise was a forward or a midfielder? He's on the list regardless. It's just a matter for our own. Maybe he's the one that makes whatever the position, midfielder or forward, go from 31 to 29 or whatever it is. Anyway, Harry Kane. Nice big goal donkey. Does Luis Diaz make the list? I don't know. Probably not the top 100. I feel like Sesko is going to end up somewhere. Same with Xavi Simons, so I'm not sure he's going anywhere. Davies is still hurt. Upamecano makes the list for me. It'd be funny when we don't have nearly enough defenders. Kimmich is a no-brainer. Guirassy as well. Okay. Kim Min-jae, if he started, I feel. Oh, Schlotterbeck for sure. Should I spell that right? Yeah, I think so. All right. Let's see who else we have. And then it kind of gets to the guys that you're like, yeah, they're probably fine. Like if Pavlovic, he's so boring. That's funny. Andy Mack, Olise was a mid, and Mike said he was a forward. Yes. So I'm glad we figured that one out. Hincapié, Stiller is one of those that like probably makes the list as long as he stays at Stuttgart. Oh, Adeyemi. Oh, man, is Adeyemi really going to make this list? No, I'm not going to put him on the list. I don't know what to do with Leverkusen. Like, does Grimaldo make the list? He's obviously, yeah. Like, he was very good for a while, but who knows how they'll be. But let's put him on. Why not? Okay, let's see what. There's Grimaldo, Patrick Schick, Julian Brandt. Like, plays such a big role. Stiller's out injured. Oh, okay. Like, do you want enough guys from the top clubs in Germany? Like Gnabry and Goretzka are just never making a list for me, at least this high. There's Job. He's not ready yet, I don't think. Oh, Mittelstadt, excuse me. He should definitely be on the list. But maybe this is just like he should be on the list because of how good he usually is in fantasy games. David Raum is pretty good too. But again, I'm not sure he's like one of the best in the world good. Atubolu probably makes the list if we went deeper. I'm going to Noah Atubolu. Who is the other one? Bolu. Who was the other one we just said probably makes the list? Like Coble can't make the list, right? Anyone who's just, oh, Vinny Suze is in Germany now, huh? What do you know? All right. All right. I don't think there's anyone else. And we'll use Transfer Market again to look at our top Prem players. And this is where we're going to really fill the list out. I think we all, like, let's see. We got to 12 of 30 defenders, 13 midfielders, 10 goalies, well, 12-ish goalies, and 20 forwards without touching the Prem. Now, I think filling the rest of this just with Prem is probably a little aggressive, but let's see how far we get. Mike, I'm not sure Tillman makes the list yet. Not yet. All right, so let's see here. Haaland, Saka, who I think Saka got hurt this morning. Somebody mentioned that. Did we have Wirtz on the list? Florian Wirtz. Mohamed Salah. I don't know why I just put Salah as a forward, but Wirtz as a mid, because I think they just play on each side. Declan Rice, Isak. Is it Alexander? No, funky. Yeah. Rice, Cole Palmer. Like, does anyone remember where Palmer was? I feel like he was a midfielder. Rodri. Alexis McAllister. Does he make McAllister? I think he probably does. Foden. I don't know what to do about Foden because he never plays. Martin Odegaard, I think, makes the list, and I'll copy and paste that so that I can get that funky O in there. Soboslai, Bruno Guimaraes, probably. Oh, Vardiol for sure. Forgot about him. Where was Vardiol? There he is. Eze, good call, Mike. Although, I don't know, man. Top like 30 in the world. Like Ruben Diaz probably makes the list. So does Gabriel. And did we miss Saliba? Oh, I did miss him. William Saliba. Andy said Nore Kukurea and Branthwaite. Maybe I'm just so like thrown off by what feels like I would love to say Pep Roulette, whatever the Chelsea version of Pep Roulette is, but like the squad is just so deep. Like Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, like, do they make this list? Top 100? Like Marmoush probably does if he's locked in. Same with Foden, but like neither of them are. I'm going to put Gabriel. I don't even know how to spell his last name. Oops. Mike said, you said watching a game, see a player do something fantastic, want to buy shares. Eze fits that criteria. That's fair. That's fair. Starts regularly now. Yeah. I mean, I assume he starts regularly if he goes to Arsenal too. Let's put Enzo and Caicedo on the list. Does Soboslai make it? Probably. Okay. I don't, Ruben Diaz, I guess. Mike, now I appreciate more why you didn't want, I'm sorry, why you suggested 25 defenders. Cunha, I think there are enough Man United fans that Cunha and Burmo make the list. Is it just Brian? Why? Yeah. Mbuemo. But it's pronounced Burmo? Burmo. All right. Anyway. Tenali, do we bet he makes it? Yes, that was on purpose. Let's see. I'm trying to think of anyone else down here that. Oh my gosh, Bruno Fernandes. As I was like talking about Man United guys. Oh, Harry Maguire. Okay, let's see. Mickey Van de Ven and Branthwaite. I feel like both of them make it for now. Jared Branthwaite. Is that how I spell that right? Branthwaite, yeah. And Mickey Van de Ven. Yeah. All right. Pedro Neto and João Pedro. I don't think both of them make it, but I'm going to put them on now just to keep us right. Savio Frimpong as like the Trent Alexander-Arnold. I can't believe I'm putting him on this list. As the Trent replacement. It's crazy that we're like 3 pages deep and it's still like 50 million. Let's see. Doku. I don't think like Doku's another one. Doku's locked and he is absolutely on this list. Same with Cherky. Darwin, I'm probably not putting on this list. Kirkez at Liverpool. Kudus is an interesting one. Does Kudus make the list? Madison surely makes it if he's there. Andy, thank you for that. Duh. And probably whoever starts next to Van Dijk deserves to be on the list, right? Did we skip him? Or is he just like, is he too old to be worth this much money? Pedro Porro. Ollie Watkins. Andy said Bernardo Silva. Again, it's like, how many Man City guys do you want to have on a list? Because they can't all play. And like Kai Havertz, Gakpo, Gravenberch we should have on the list. He was way too good last year. I think if you submitted a list to Football.Fun that didn't have Harry Maguire on it, you don't deserve to have your list even looked at. How about that? Let's go to the Silva takes corners when he's on. I think it's the when he's on is the problem for me. That we just don't know when he's going to be on. Let's just make sure we didn't miss anyone. Like Havertz, that's insane. We can't possibly. Kai Havertz, like, how many midfielders do we have? Like, we're getting close to the end. And he probably stops playing. Like, do we put Gyökeres on the list? Who I keep hearing my son call Gyökeres, and I actually don't know who's right. Jonathan David, who's at Juve now. I don't think that David is a top 100. Chris Wood. There's Cunha, who we have. Thuram we didn't put on. I saw him on the list too. I don't think he's that great, but he's probably should be on the list. And Marmoush, another one. Like, how comfortable can you be? Like, if Marmoush makes the list, then like it feels like we have to put on Bernardo Silva, Cherky, Doku, Foden, Savio, and they're not going to make. They can't all play. Oshiman is off to Galatasaray. There's Ortega, who's gone. Griezmann, Girassi. Does Gyökeres make the list? Gyökeres? Like, he probably does. He's certainly in the top 200. Isak, Lautaro, Haaland. This is just our like Lewandowski number 2. What are we doing? Did we end up putting Lewandowski on the list? We didn't. Maybe he's number oh, wait. Lewandowski. All right. This is just like a quality check, basically. Where's the, here we go. So those were center forwards. These are wingers now. That Ekitike, I think it's too early for Ekitike. Ezri Konsa is an interesting shout. We didn't really get much from Villa. Yeah, I don't know about Konsa yet. All right. Other than, I mean, we put them on, but I'm going to take this off. I feel like my computer is going to blow up if I keep all of these tabs open. All right. Burmo, Simeone, get out of here. There's Pulisic, Gakpo. I mean, if Gakpo starts, he's got to be close to the list, right? Like if he's locked in. I just don't know how locked in he is. There's Leao. There's Lookman. Doué we have. Barcola ahead of Doué is nuts. Did we put Luis Diaz on the list? I don't think we did. I just feel like it's a little too early. But maybe he makes the he should probably make the 200. Rodrigo. Nico Williams we have. Kavicha, Saka, Dembele, Vinny. Vinny ahead of Dembele, my God. What are we doing? Rafinha, Yamal, Salah ahead of all of them. All right. We'll check our midfielders. Almada is a funny one to see. Sanset, if that's even how you say it. I mean, can he really be in the top 100? There's Eze. Morgan Rogers. I wouldn't have even put him as a midfielder. Interesting. But I'm going to put him on just because if there are enough people who can play, I mean, if there are enough people who are interested in Prem guys, and then we apparently lost our list already. Sorry, my new Spanish mid at Arsenal, is it Zubamendi? Yeah, Zubamendi's a good shout because I think he'll play. Zubamendi. Okay. Good call, Mike. Where's my list here? All right. This is Almada. There's McTom. Oh, Isco. I knew there was somebody else from La Liga we forgot. Morgan Gibbs White. Wow. Who was it that was going in for Gibbs White? Was it Newcastle or I forget who it was. There's Simons is a tough one though, because is he hurt right now? What are we doing here? Sorry, guys. Sometimes they're just some slow internet days, which I think that's all this is. Come on. But I do feel like is this like really choppy for you guys? Just like my video? Maybe ESPN doesn't want us stealing from their list. I should have just done defender since we're already at the list. Let's see here. We're trying to think of more like Prem defender. We actually have a lot of Prem defenders, which now it's like, oh, now we put on like Pacho and who else did we forget from PSG? I don't remember now. Reinders is an interesting one. That's actually a really good one. Tijani Reinders is, yeah, it does seem like he is going to start, right? So next to Rodri, which is kind of a fun place for anybody to play. So we'll put Reinders in. Andy said, I think a lot of the 100 to 200 will be influenced by the players that would be scoring points regularly that are not in the game, meaning the 100 to 200. I think that's right. Also, like, we're not going to necessarily know who they are. And yes, you're choppy. Man, sorry about that. I don't know what the deal is here. I know our list isn't working anymore. Let's see. Okay. So let's just see if I can quickly get through this. There's Palmer, Odegaard, Musiala, who we didn't put on, Wirtz, who we did, and Jude. Okay. Now we'll get to everybody's favorite, CDMs. There's Tonali. Did we end up putting Tonali on the list? Tonali? No, we didn't. Yeah, Mike, I don't usually have problems with the ads, though. But there's Tchouaméni. Man, am I really disrespecting him not putting him on this list? Ruiz, Rodrigo de Paul is gone. I don't think we put De Jong on either. And I'm not sure he belongs here. But I'll put both of them on Aurelien. Just for discussion, and then we can move everyone. John Neves, we got. Gravenberch, we got. Bruno Gomes, Kimmich, Barella. Surely Barella was on our list, right? Yeah, okay. This is killing me. Barella. Yeah, Barella, Vitinha, who we got. McAllister, Valverde, Rice, and Pedri. All right. So we got those guys. It's really the defenders that we're going to have to fill in, right? Like we're like quite short on defenders. And we need them. Center backs and fullbacks. Van Dijk, who we missed comically. There's Heisen. Murillo from Nottingham Forest, I guess. Yeah, Konate. Is he staying? Konate? And is it weird that we have four, like we could have the entire Liverpool back line? Marquinhos, Kubarsi. Did we put Kubarsi on the list? Wow, we didn't. All right. I guess we were just being disrespectful to Kubarsi. Bastoni was one of our first ones, right? Yeah. Gabriel, like Rudiger? Yeah, Saliba and Van Dijk. Is Rudiger really going to is he really? Single-handedly held Real Madrid defense together. All right, fullbacks, Timber, I don't think goes there. There's Dumfries, Frimpong, Federico DeMarco. That's an interesting one. Just more Inter. Is he staying? There's Balde. So we did why am I blanking on we did Koundé, but not Balde, but I guess they both deserve to be there. Davies, I'm going to keep off because he's still hurt. There's Nuno Mensch. There's Koundé, Alexander-Arnold, and Hakimi. So we're actually still short of defenders. We need 3 more. Murillo was on that list. Mark Gahey from Palace. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I saw his name before, and I was like, oh, yeah, what's funny is that I was so quick to dismiss a lot of these guys, and yet we're not even at we need twice as many for the next 200. DeMarco from Inter. That's who I think. Yeah, that's who I just added, right? Or no? Yeah, DeMarco. Actually, don't know if it's a capital M. Heisen, Murillo, Konate. Yeah, all right. So if this is our list and we're now at like 36 midfielders, maybe we do 29 defenders and 31 midfielders. We also didn't include Lewandowski, Luis Diaz, Foden, Marmoush, Cherky, Hato now at Chelsea. Yeah, I'm not going to put him on the list immediately, right? So is there anybody here, meaning Gibbs White, Xavi Simons, Reinders, Tonali, De Jong, and Tchouameni who deserve to be on the list ahead of anyone above them? Like I feel like Morgan Rogers doesn't belong on the list. If like Reinders probably over Morgan Rogers to me, or probably De Jong. I mean, can we really not have De Jong on the list? And I was going to move Rogers out, Reinders in, Zubamendi. Isco's got to make the list. I'll take Zubamendi off because Isco can't not make the list. Bruno, all right. Yamal, I'm not going to read the whole list. You guys can see it here. So, or maybe we do, how many defenders did we have? We're literally one defender short of 30. I guess we should. Top defenders in the world. John Stones. The most valuable players in the world by, these are just center backs, but we'll make sure we have everybody. My God, these blocks. All right, Kubarsi, Saliba, Bastoni, we don't have Pacho. Tchouameni should be in. He's a defender in the game. Yeah, Araujo from Barca. Yeah, I like that. I'm just not. Tchouameni probably makes the list amongst the top defenders, but I don't think he makes a list as a top midfielder. If that makes sense. My goodness gracious. Oops. Now I'm like, okay, Ruben. Did we have Ruben Diaz on the list? Ruben Diaz. Yeah, we did. All right. Lenny Yoro. I think he could make the list at some point. There's Branthwaite. And Capier. I am surprised he's that high. Diomande is legit, but he'll be on the scouting page for a while. I think we're good. Yeah, I wonder if, well, Chevalier and Atapolo don't make the list. They're like the next best. Let me just take off everybody. And it's kind of like, if you're making a list of the best players in the world and they don't have Lucas Chevalier, Noah Atabolu, Morgan Gibbs-White, Xavi Simons, Martin Zubamendi, Sandro Tonali, Morgan Rogers, Aurelien Tchouameni, Robert Lewandowski, and Luis Diaz. Is that a reasonable list? Lewandowski feels like he should be on it, which is so annoying because I think he's a donkey. Who does Lewandowski make the list over? Probably like João Pedro. And Marmoush, like again, you could have a lot of Man City guys there. But anyway, there's our 100 right there. That was a heck of an exercise. Took us over an hour. Rogers should definitely not be on it. Is he on it? No, yeah, he's off of it now. Hot take though, Mike. Maybe, I don't know. In fact, Mike with the capital not, I'm just going to delete him from even the extras. Just so we're clear. So anyway, that's the list. That's the top 100. If you have any comments of anyone that we missed, leave them in the comments below, and we can discuss on why they didn't make it or why they shouldn't have made it. Simple as that. So yeah, I believe the top 100 officially comes out. Well, let me rephrase. The top 100 will definitely come out in the next 2 weeks. We don't have an exact date yet, or at least I don't have an exact date yet. And so, yeah, Andy said, easy, sorted, bam, let's go, ship the packs off. That's what it is. Let's go. Let's go. Really appreciate everyone who participated to help us get this list together. Like I said, these are not ranked in any particular order. It's just the top 100. I'm not here saying that, Julian Brandt is better than Cole Palmer and Rodri. It's just, that's where we got on the list. And so, yeah, top 100 players that could be on Football.Fun to start. And maybe once we get the top 100, we can have some discussions of guys who didn't make it and whether they'll make the top 200. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming. If you could please like and subscribe, definitely subscribe. This is streaming on a brand new channel, Football.Fun with Laird. It's actually FDF with Laird if you're typing it in, but we'd love to grow this channel out so that everybody can appreciate how fun this game is and will be, and they can just, experience it all with us. So much appreciated, everybody. Make sure you get outside.